Have you ever had a friend recommend you a game or try to get you into something that they've been playing and they're like, hey, you got to check this out. And then you look it up and you're like, oh my God, this is such their game. Like I totally see that they're hooked on this. Totally lines up. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a Jack of All Trades video. I want to dive into the idea that we approach video games and play them very similarly to how we approach our lives. Now, of course, there's going to be some exceptions to this in terms of how we seek outlets in the experience of video games. But for the most part, what I've noticed among my friends is that their archetypes of personality often are very in line with the types of game they're playing and the way that they play games. And I've definitely noticed this among myself. If you've been following the channel, I've been doing a lot of build videos on Division 2. That's like the one game that I play. And basically, if you're not familiar with the game, you put together different setups using gear. That's what it's all about. And there's three main directions you can head. You can make a skill build. You can go defense and very tanky, or you can go offense and do a lot of damage. And the way that I've been approaching it has been very consistently similar to how I approach my own life and the different facets of it. If you look at a lot of the builds, all the types of things I create, what I always gravitate towards is some sort of hybrid, some do-it-all kind of build, a Jack of all trades. That's the name of the channel, of course. And it's always some sort of hybrid. I want to do damage and be tanky. I want to have a skill build, but also provide heals. I want to have a skill tank build. I want to be able to do it all. And I always gravitate to that sort of thing. Any video game that I have played in the past where the game revolves around creating a character and developing their skills with a skill tree or something, or creating builds, I always go for that sort of approach. I want the offense and the defense, always some sort of hybrid. So that's definitely been very apparent in my own experience with video games, and I see it a lot with my friends too. I have friends who are grinders, who approach their work. They're like workaholics, they'll work a lot, they love working long hours, and the types of video games they play are very grindy video games where you have to do the same thing over and over again. I got friends who are big optimizers like me, and they're really into like Satisfactory. They want to build factories and optimize the flow and all that kind of stuff. And so people sort of gravitate to similar games to the experiences they seek in life, or at least how they approach life in general. Now, it goes even deeper in that even within a single game, people will approach them depending on their archetype in a very different way. If we take the same game, like we'll use, for example, the one I've been playing, Division 2, you have like, my dad is very story-oriented. He likes the story behind it, the narration. He likes playing through the campaign a lot. And he's definitely not touching any PvP. You have the competitive people on the PvP side who need to play against other players and really try to push their skill set, and that gets a whole other type of the game. A whole different experience. I like playing pretty much exclusively on legendary difficulty. That's the hardest level difficulty, and I try to find a nice balance of making the hardest difficulty easy through my builds. But I don't play super tough challenges like trying to solo the hardest mission in the game. I've done almost all of them because that'd be fun, but there's still one left, and I don't feel the need to put myself through that. Similarly to how when there's massive grueling challenges that are like optional in life, I don't need to do it just to say I did it, to be honest. Like, I'm not training for an Iron Man or anything, you know? That's not in line with where I'm at. Similarly, I'm not trying to do the Iron Man equivalent in the game. So all these different people are approaching the video game kind of like life. What I want to go with this is, if we flip that paradigm a little bit, we can approach life like we do the video games, but also learn from our experiences in games and how games are created, designed, and their balancing, and bring that over into how we approach our life and our own builds. We're essentially, our personality archetypes is I really experience it like a skill tree. That's how I conceptualize it in my head. You have your physical stats, your mental health stats, your heart, your soul, you name it. It's all part of this one build. And there's so many trees. Of course, the Life is the best video game ever. Infinitely complex, so much more than the ones that we play. Even the craziest RPGs will never get close to the one we're playing right now. But we can break it down into these more manageable, tangible sections so that we can create a framework to approach life in a way. And we try to make video games to mimic life, and we can learn from that in terms of how things are balanced. If you're really, really speccing into one area of your build of life, you're going to potentially and very likely negate a lot of other things that you could be putting points into. If you're all mental health, but you've let your body go to waste, you're going to be frail even though you might have the sharpest mind. You could be the smartest and the weakest. You could be the strongest and the stupidest. I'm not here to dictate what kind of build you should make. I know which one I prefer. I like putting points all around, but as the saying goes, jack of all trades, master of none. Anyway, this all just got me thinking that I'm trying to level up IRL as well, and that's what I'm here for. Now, the question you got to ask yourself is, grinder, speedrunner, what build are you trying to go for?